This week on Arizona Illustrated, the art life of Terrell Dew Johnson. Speed is a family affair, a healing touch for kids with special needs. And a very successful coach decides to leave the U of A after 7 years. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. The Tohono O'odham Nation has been in the news a lot recently as President Trump's proposed border wall would pass through it. Artist Terrell Dew Johnson grew up there and has become one of that community's most recognizable voices.
I'm almost like an ambassador. Not that I've always wanted to be, but I guess I put myself in that position because I put myself out there. Your knife is really dull.
It only really sharp because I tried to use the sharp knife and it just
Cuts it.
split.
Basket weaving was a gift that was given to us by Creator. It was also a lesson. It had a meaning to it. And that's the reason why we're weaving baskets. It's in our legends, it's in our songs. It was a way for us to put our burdens in it. You're in South Arizona at the Tohono O'odham Community Action Building, where we have the Desert Rain Cafe and the Desert Rain Gallery. TOCA started as a group of concerned community members wanting to do something positive, something really good for the community, especially for the youth, keep the culture alive.
One of the things I really want us to do as we move ahead on this is I want it to really look good. The message is important, but also how we convey that. Why don't Terrell and I start with the conversation on camera? Let's, go do what you need to do to be pretty. I'll wait.
You got a day?
Terrell and I met a little over 20 years ago. We worked together to start TOCA.
My name is Terrell Dew Johnson, and I am Tohono O'odham from the Tohono O'odham Nation. A lot of our traditional foods are being forgotten, and so with that happening, a lot of food-related illnesses are running rampant. You know, we got diabetes, we got cancers, we got obesity.
Where have you seen that health impacts of the move from traditional foods?
It's hitting home. Elders dying, other people dying that aren't even elders, people my age or even younger dying because of these food-related illnesses.
This is a project where some of my students are working with Terrell and with TOCA to tell that story of TOCA and Tohono O'odham food sovereignty over the last 20 years.
I was sick, I had diabetes and I need to do something.
Some are trying to raise awareness, and they're embarking on a 3,000-mile journey across the country. Kimberly Kraft has that story.
I wanted to show people that it's possible, even I could do it.
A diabetic tipping the scales at 300 pounds, Johnson set off on a cross-country adventure, starting in Maine and traversing the plains and the mountains. In all, he covered 3,000 miles on foot, a journey that took 2 years.
The walk home was something that I'll never forget. I invited the younger family members of my family to join me because I saw that they were sort of living in that lifestyle that I was. I realize that now it was a huge undertaking, but you see something that needs to be done, you do it. Yeah. Well, they used to call it Little Green Valley. I think they still do. What's that? Going to the garden? Garden? Yep.
I don't like spiders.
I don't like spiders either.
I am not a big fan.
The hospital donated the land and they give us free water. But then it sort of just expanded. TOCA fluctuates. It's During the summertime, we can work with between 10 to 20 young people.
Just picking the weeds.
And Chris last year was one of our interns for the summer. And so now he's running the garden.
These are the first ones I did, was the plum tree.
We started from a garden, and the garden was entirely full of traditional foods. And out of that grew what you see here at Toca today with a garden, farms, a restaurant, a gallery.
There's a paper menu.
The concept behind the cafe was to make healthy food, traditional food, accessible to the community.
What sets Toca apart then from those programs?
Me.
Now, what is different in how Toca approaches its work from a lot of the government programs?
We can, on the drop of a dime, if it doesn't work, go back to the drawing board and figure something out. With other programs out there, they get funded through a grant that they had to implement that was probably written by someone who's never probably set foot on the reservation or have ever been in the Native community. As a Native American person living on the reservation, you're isolated. There's a whole different kind of world. And then when you go off the reservation and go to Tucson, it's totally different. And as a Native American in today's world, you know, we're trying to balance those two lives, those two worlds.
Projects like this are an opportunity to gain new insights. For me, this show is opening up kind of deeper resonances between our two practices.
Just the fact that he was an architect and was using tools like computers and things like that, and I was really interested in seeing what we could come up with. The whole idea in the beginning was to highlight algorithms. For myself, I really didn't know what algorithms were.
To connect what we were doing in a relatively abstract way into this kind of rich material and historical tradition that we could kind of look back as a way to move forward.
Traditionally, when weaving was taught, it was only taught to women, to young girls. I think a lot of weavers felt that at that point, it didn't really matter who was weaving as long as it was being kept alive. Well, right now I'm working on basically panels sewn together with traditional material, which is yucca, and then bringing basket shapes that were designed in the computer to make these, we call these craters right now, but eventually we had to come up with a fancy name. I finally got what algorithms were. Traditionally, we've been doing it, and we didn't know we were doing it. It took a while for someone to give it a name, but we knew that this is what we were taught by our creator.
What you've tried to do is be responsive to the community.
It's hard work. It's not glamorous work at all. I remember when we first started, I was literally working 24/7. I truly felt in my heart that it was necessary. Doing this kind of work for 20 years, fighting for cultural revitalization, language preservation, food preservation, and then seeing other people do the same thing.
We return now to the escalating fight over a major oil pipeline in North Dakota. This weekend,
Early October, I went to Standing Rock. I felt I needed to be there to support my brothers, my sisters. We're tired of people that are just hungry for money to come and tear up the land, especially sacred land, and not understanding that just because we're native, you can come in and do that. That's happened from the beginning of time. And this day, we're still dealing with that stuff. What I want the world to know that there are still Native Americans here, that we have our own unique culture, that we just want to live amongst everyone else, you know, and be happy, be healthy, be safe. I'm happy and excited that this opportunity had presented itself and that Aranda Lash decided to work with me. A lot of people out here on the reservation may not know the work that I do as an artist. I'm happy to share and explain that. But also, it's twofold, because then I also get to go out into the world and explain where I come from, you know, and where this art comes from, and to share my culture with them. Those conversational starters to start talking and having dialogue, and maybe even going beyond the art question and go beyond the Indian question and just be sharing like humans.
Eleanor Roosevelt said, "The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience." For Cindy Hawk, it's all about speed and reliving that time when everything was just a blur.
If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be here. So, I mean, it's all about family.
Growing up, when people asked me what I wanted to do, my response to my parents' horror was, I want to drive a semi-truck. And they're like, why does our daughter want to drive a semi-truck, really? I'm Cindy Hawk, and we are out at Southwestern International Raceway. And today I'm going to be racing in the box category for our last team race of the season.
And you tell them, oh yeah, my wife racing. Well, what'd she race? Well, a 750 dragster. What? You know? My name is Chuck Hawk Jr. I have an automotive repair business in Tucson, and we drag race for a hobby with the family.
Chuck is my husband. We've been married for 29 years. You know, he's my best friend, and you know, this is his passion. I think Chuck is track champion every other year. I mean, he wins a lot. Brad was, I think, 7 days old when we brought him out to the track the first time, because Chuck couldn't race if I wasn't helping. And then the kids got a little older, and I'm like, you know, I'm not having fun anymore. It's hard taking care of kids and taking care of you in this race car, and this isn't working for me. About that same time, the track out here was opening. And so I'm like, well, do you think I could drive that car? You know, at least on Friday nights, I'd just like to make a pass or two. I remember it was just asphalt, and at the end of the asphalt, there was a bathroom. And it was a quarter mile away. It was a long way away. And I was so paranoid. I'm like, what happens if I run into the bathroom?
It was funny because the first time she went down the racetrack, she just wanted to go down and make time runs and just go out and have fun, and all of a sudden she was hooked as soon as she made a couple passes. I think the first thing she said when she got out of the car is, I understand now.
I just held on and drove, and it was just a blur going by. You know, I couldn't see anything. And now I have time to look at the gauges, I can look around, I can see the other car that I'm racing, and so the more you do it, the faster you want to go, because you want that feeling from the first time when everything was a blur.
I think she likes to go fast. I mean, she obviously likes to win, but she likes going fast.
I didn't know I had that desire until I got in the car. And then I was like, ooh, you know, the motor, the smell, you know, you just have such control, and it's such a big, powerful thing. I'm very claustrophobic, and I really don't like being buckled in the car at all.
So yeah, it looks like it is Cindy in a Hawk family racing car.
And so I want to get in at the last possible minute, and then that's my way of just, okay, you're calm, you're ready, you buckled yourself in, it's all okay. So I was raised women can do anything men can do, and I have consistently applied that across my life. Chuck fully supports that concept and has encouraged me all the way through. So it's a matter of having the right support system and believing in yourself. I kind of hit these milestone birthdays and I think, oh, should I retire? But then something happens and I win or I do well and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to retire. I haven't done this and I haven't done that. I couldn't imagine life without racing, you know? I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it.
Whether they're undergoing cancer treatment or coping with a chronic condition, children with serious medical needs face many challenges. Our next story features a young mother facing the challenges of autism, who found a community that's dedicated to easing children's suffering. In recognition of Autism Awareness Month, we bring you A Healing Touch.
I've sat with people, I've loved people, I've held people, I've been present with enormous suffering. Yeah, okay. I saw this one little girl going in for surgery, and she was terrified. She was absolutely terrified, and my only role was as a witness.
16 years ago, Shay Bider was a pre-med student learning a hard lesson, that healing and hurting can go hand in hand.
So I got to experience her going under anesthesia in a state of immense fear. And something in me in that moment just said, no, it doesn't have to look like this.
Shay set out to help sick children and their families as she had helped others for years, through touch.
As I was putting myself through school at UCLA, I was working as a massage therapist. And through that work, I had worked with people who'd had heart surgery and cancer, who had had very significant losses and were grieving the death of a partner. And I saw how nurturing and comforting that work could be during incredibly trying times. And so I started a program just by simply bringing in gentle touch and massage to children in the hospital.
Over time, Shay's program and her vision grew into the Tucson-based nonprofit Integrative Touch for Kids, which serves children with any special medical need, whether it's an acute illness or a lifelong disability. To do that, Integrative Touch for Kids, or ITK, offers a variety of programs, from a week-long retreat for families to ongoing support groups and playdates, as well as massage and other therapies for hospitalized children and their caregivers.
When a child has special needs, a family has special needs, period. You need to care for, support, nurture, and treat every member of that family. And that creates a direct experience of support that helps them to endure things that sometimes in that moment they don't think that they'll be able to endure.
Okay, this goes on the other side.
Bree Seward has had moments where she doubted what she could endure. She's the single mother of 2 boys, 2-year-old Julian and 5-year-old Sebastian, whose medical needs were a mystery at first.
Around 2, there started to be a difference between him and peers. There would be times in public where he would just put himself down on the ground in the middle of a mall or museum or huge places, just put himself on the ground and kind of hug the floor. It would hurt him when you put on lotion and sunscreen. Or doctor's offices, there would be screaming, holding down, and you just think, well, he doesn't like doctor's offices. Who does? But doctors would be like, this is crossing the line. This isn't necessarily normal.
No. At 3, Sebastian was diagnosed with autism. Shortly after that, Julian was born 3 months premature and for a time had problems with his underdeveloped lungs. With help from her parents, Bree juggles caring for her boys with keeping track of their physical, occupational, and speech therapy appointments and advocating for their educations and medical care.
Your day off. It's like looking at this mountain right now that I need to figure out myself while I'm trying to be a mom and just do, let's play trains on the floor, what do you need to eat, let's make sure you get your vitamins. And there's no class for that. There's no like, you're a mom, if you're a special needs mom, sit down and these, you just have to learn on your own. Okay.
Bree learned she wasn't on her own when she and her family took part in an ITK retreat.
And they really take care of us during that healing retreat and teach us that it's okay to take time to yourself, because that's the only way you can care for other people, is if you're good and if you're rested and you're well. And it just gives you such an opportunity to come together with other families that are going through the same struggles. We went on their healing retreat last summer, and we came out of a week of this healing retreat different people. Climb, you can do it.
Bree says Integrative Touch for Kids has transformed her boys as well, particularly Sebastian.
He's not stuck in a room lining up cards anymore. His world's expanded. A village has helped make him who he is, and part of that village was ITK.
Despite the benefits that Bree and other participants report, ITK has met with resistance over the years, in part because it embraces some complementary and alternative medicines that haven't been scientifically proven.
Many of us in traditional medicine, we never thought of alternative therapies. These techniques, they have a value because we are hardcore scientists. We base everything on science, not on touch or healing.
Dr. Faiz Gishan is physician-in-chief of Diamond Children's Hospital and no stranger to the lesson that shaped Shay's life.
I'm a pediatric gastroenterologist. In that capacity, I see kids with gastrointestinal problems, and then I do endoscopy in those kids. The little ones, they have to be masked. The older kids, we have to put an IV. And those are two traumatic things. We used to chase them sometimes in the hallways to give them a shot to sedate them, and then we cut them and put them on the table to do the procedure.
I know we've worked on the mom. I don't know that we've worked on the child.
The first thing I met Shay, she came in one day with one of my patients, and she asked me if she could do an integrative touch, healing touch, to calm him down before I do the procedure. She put her hand over his chest and rubbed it a little bit, and all of a sudden, this young man is almost asleep without anesthesia. And I was so impressed. I said, oh my God, Shay, from now on, every time I'm gonna do a procedure, you need to come and basically do whatever you do to really calm the kids down. I'm so grateful for Shay and her volunteers who really help our kids to have a better life through this integrative touch.
It's gonna be so much fun. All right, let's go make toys.
Most of Shay's volunteers come from ITK families themselves. They give their time to other ITK families to keep the program going. On one Saturday afternoon, they gather to make teddy bears for other children who are ill.
Do you think he might be a good friend? Yeah.
When I think about the legacy of Integrative Touch for Kids, I don't care about buildings. I don't care about stuff. I think about wanting to create a community of people who have systems in place that support them in providing love through times of suffering. And if I can help to create mechanisms that enable people in our communities to do that, to rise up and to meet suffering with love more fully, more completely, with more opportunity, then that's enough.
Bree Seward sees the legacy of Integrative Touch for Kids every day in her boys.
What's important for me is having my boys see the outpouring of community and service that ITK brings. And I want them to grow up being a part of that. Just day to day, getting to the next thing was difficult. And now that we see them blossom and grow, and to be a part of, a place like ITK that gives them an environment, a loving, peaceful place to grow and share with other families' experiences and help each other. It's just the biggest blessing, and we value it so much, and we're very grateful.
Many Tucsonans are stunned. After 7 successful years, the U of A's coach announced he was leaving. I'm speaking of football coach Larry Smith, of course, and the year was 1987 from the vault.
When Larry Smith packed 7 years worth of memories with the Wildcats and moved to sunny California and USC, U of A officials got down to the serious job of finding a replacement for him. The list of names that has cropped up since then is endless. Just about every man who ever held a football has been mentioned as a possible Wildcat coach.
Well, the first week I heard Bart Starr, I heard Tom Landry, I heard Tony Mason. There were some funny names bandied around.
The coach Cedric Dempsey is looking for must be a man Dempsey believes can do 2 things. First is continue to beat the Sun Devils, and second, do that on the way to the Rose Bowl.
Well, that's the goal of all of our teams, is to win the Pac-10 championship, and the Rose Bowl is the spoil that goes along with the Pac-10 championship. So I think that's one of the things we want to do.
The news of Larry Smith's departure has sunk in now, and most of us have accepted it, at least to one degree or another. And while Smith will be remembered as one of the best coaches in the U of A history, his memory, for the moment, is overshadowed by the search for his successor.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.